If over 100k people showed up to the Area 51 raid with a legitimate goal of breaching the defenses, what do you think would happen? The US government will test out its new non-lethal weaponry. Edit. In response to the replies saying that they'll use lethal weaponry, they will likely use a combination of the two categories. However, I don't believe the government wants to go Tiananmen Square on us yet and massacre everyone in a crowd at such a high profile raid. It would look terrible, and it would almost definitely spark something. I also just want to point out one more thing. There's likely nothing of extreme importance at Area 51. The government would be dumb to keep its secrets where everyone in the country believes its secrets are. Final edit. There are a lot of responses saying that because it would be stupid to store secrets in Area 51, it's actually a good idea. I disagree with this because not everyone in the population thinks the same way. It's like the majority that believes that there is something there, while the minority believes that there is nothing there due to the majority thinking there is. It's a lot less risky to just store secrets in a less popular base than to rely on everyone falling for reverse psychology. Code Brown emitter looking forward to that. Well, with the main gate being 15 miles from the actual base, I picture well over 3/4s giving up in the first mile. The rest will fall along the way. No one will come even close to seeing anything classified. This is all without security intervention BTW. They'll sit and laugh watching the whole thing unfold via CCTV cameras. Then they will drive out and escort the survivors out into awaiting sheriff's vans to be charged on federal trespass charges. A low-flying helicopter kicks up dust and scares everyone off. My vote is for a couple F-22s to give a low-pass sonic boom. Yeah, either this or an Apache coming over and down the side of the mountain ranges. Doesn't even need to shoot M. The sheer noise of that coming at you would be effective. Most people will forget to bring enough water and be generally unprepared to walk for miles in the desert. The ones who make it the farthest will easily be arrested due to their low numbers. Generally unprepared to walk for miles in the desert. Excuse you, we are gonna Naruto run. Best comeback ever. You tell M Neckbeard-san. My dyslexic brain read that as Nickelback-san. Nah dude. Has a total neckbeard. Look at his photograph. Full Area 51 with props and fake evidence of aliens have no lifeguards in the base. Only basic fake automated defenses firing blanks let people rush it and be in. Or when they storm the facility and find all of this stuff. Then have a hologram of Ashton Kutcher displayed in the sky telling them they were punked. Why stop with Ashton Kutcher? Rick Astley is more effective. Imagine 100k people storming the base and then a powerful mystical voice announce they will speak to them. Cue big ass TV rolling up, pitch black silence and suddenly Rick roll. De-trolling of this format would be written in our history books for eternity. There's 15 miles of road between the main gate and the base, and it's all technically on base, so it's gotta have some sort of PA at regular intervals, or could be installed just for the occasion. Nothing but Rick Astley blasting for 15 miles of a hot desert hike. Maybe mix in the start of another song, just to give them some hope of something new, before crushing them again with Never Gonna Give You Up crashing back in. It's a bunch of people in the hot, dry desert, with less logistical support than the Fee Festival, trying to Naruto run across tens of miles. Emergency search and rescue services would spend the first couple days retrieving people in varying degrees of heat exhaustion, dehydration, and extreme sunburn. They would spend the next couple of months retrieving the rest of the corpses. Hospitals would be full all over the state. The survivors would mostly end up arrested, save possibly for those who didn't even make it to the sign. Base security would get a nice workout, though. They could stop 90% of these people just by making the run up to the fence's slight incline. No one escapes Fat Camp because the exit is up a gentle incline. Let's just say a few thousand idiots manage to show up and think they can pull it off. Best case scenario, they make a run for the fence line. The base responds with an acoustic non-lethal device. Roughly 1/3 of the group goes down, clutching their ears. Many more go down as they get closer, determined to make the fence but ultimately failing. So maybe low 4-figure number actually make it within a few hundred yards of the fence line, in a significantly degraded state from a single non-lethal device. Cue the riot agents. A volley of tear gas canisters turns the last 5 football fields of distance to the fence line into a densely fogged snot fest. Another 50 to 60% become combat ineffective. Between the ringing in their ears, their inability to breathe, and the inability to see through the fog of gas, most of the group is unwilling or unable to proceed. A small number of intrepid individuals make it within 100 yards of the fence line. The searchlights come on. Between the fog, the tears, and millions of lumens of light in their face, they can't see what the hell is going on. They shout directions at one another, but now they are only a few hundred yards from the acoustic devices, and nobody can hear shit. Except for the first salvo of warning shots from a 50 caliber HMG mounted to a Humvee nearby. Most of them scatter. A couple of brave souls aren't intimidated by the warning shots. By sheer dumb luck, they get to the fence line and pull out the wire cutters. One shouts, "We did it, Reddit," just before being turned into a fine pink mist by the 50s. On the base side, most of the 20 people required to actually repel this attack go back to the cafeteria laughing about it. The .50 gunner gets sent home, then to critical incident counseling. The other hundreds of guys who were on call up bitch that the morons didn't even break through the fence and trigger a real response, and that they wasted their night for nothing. Worst case scenario. Some idiot or group of idiots in the crowd produces a firearm, and they manage to put effective fire on some of the guards. The guards respond in accordance with the row issued to them, defend the facility with reasonable force, up to and including deadly force if required. Simultaneously, several Humvees open up with .50 calibers and 7.62mm machine gun fire, along with whoever produced a firearm. Hundreds of people who thought they were badass a few minutes ago are now casualties, lying on the ground wailing. Most people scatter, but more gunshots are heard from the crowd, each met with a burst of HMG fire in return, resulting in another pile of bodies. The sun rises on a battlefield that looks like a Game of Thrones scene. There are a few dead idiots with guns, and a lot of dead unarmed people who just got too close to the real idiots. Some people live streamed the whole thing, their phones still broadcasting from their lifeless hands. Of all the things that's not gonna happen this year, this is not gonna happen the most. Half will sleep in, because their moms forget to wake them, and the other half will chicken out. And the few morons that will actually turn up will see the lack of additional morons and go home. Construct additional morons. They would probably use tear gas or other riot control methods. There will be razor fences too. The enforcement, I mean. Only police can use tear gas for crowd control. The military can only use tear gas on its own people for chemical warfare training. Otherwise it's just chemical warfare and explicitly banned. In different news, the military conducted an unannounced chemical warfare training using over 100k new recruits. This actually made me laugh. They could lightly throw out some info in the days prior. Any access within X boundary surrounding Area 51 equals full permission and admission into the US military, foregoing signature and oath, giving your consent to undergo immediate immersion training as seen, fit by DS staff. They either get detained and arrested or killed, if God forbid some lunatic brings a gun. I like to imagine they are given a tour and it's really boring and nobody gets hurt. Here's where we keep different lengths of wire. Back in '78, privates a company needed a 3-foot piece of wire, but due to a mix-up in provisioning we didn't have any more of that. He got the idea to get a 6-foot piece instead and just cut it in half, and ever since that day the inventory sheet for both the 3-foot wire and the 6-foot wire storage rooms have been off by 1. That's the most army thing I've ever read. And the accounts have never been adjusted because there's no written evidence to say what happened, but you have to count it, then submit the stocktake paperwork to be rejected 45 times anyway. A giant garage door on base open. Out walks an AT-AT to the killing fields. AT-AT? Don't be ridiculous. Ed 209. I like the way you think. Or maybe just full on T1000. Nothing good. With 100k people, it's practicality a certainty that somebody is stupid enough to bring a gun. I mean, they are allowed to open fire upon them. They don't even need an excuse, but now they got one. The thing is, everyone has memed about the raid so much that there is literally no way the government doesn't know. It's gonna fail Mayo. Sir, we've discovered something I think you should see. What is it? Private? Spy satellite photos? No sir, a post on 4chan. Part of me kinda hopes something happens, and the base does some obnoxiously insane shit to troll people. Like do some crazy helicopter lights / projections or some crazy noises, or whatever for the lol. Now I'm just imagining some smoke with eerie lights shining in it, while they play the X-Files theme on a loudspeaker. People seem to forget that you can't just show up to Area 51. The security zone starts so far away it is actually completely impossible to reach the actual facility. Hear me out though. Odds drop pods. Military member here. They're going to have the local police and sheriffs there as well as their own defenses basically piling up around any and all entries using less than lethal devices and ready to use lethal. If this goes down it's not going to be pretty fair, not just going to let you walk on by. Best case is a large gathering, happens in front of the base where they get a bunch of publicity and illuminate some information withheld from the general populace. Everything remains peaceful and nobody gets hurt. As someone else mentioned, traffic can easily be diverted to make it about a 50-mile trek. At that point you're only looking at rednecks in 4x4s and off-road bikes. By the time they've driven 50 miles through the desert they'll probably be out of gas. Just pick up the stragglers, provide some free water, a couple gallons of gas, to get them back to town and a cheap. I tried to storm Area 51 but all I got was this lousy t-shirt souvenir. OMG, you should talk to the army and set up by the fence a shitty table and sell these t-shirts and $1 magnets. The aliens that support the US Gov will just zap them all back to their homes and they wake up with memories of a weird dream and a feeling of having been probed. If I was the base commander, I'd put up a few big tents in front of the entry, stock them up with food, drinks, resting places and make it a big happening. Have a few of the tents with info about the military scientific discoveries with devices that were tested there, just in general some cool stuff, presentations, maybe roll out some of the old declassified spy planes. Basically an Area 51 con. Everyone who went out there could come back with a cool story and wouldn't really need to do stupid stuff. That's a really cool idea. I'm promoting you to base commander. When is this dumb shit supposed to happen? I'll need to plan ahead to buy popcorn. The name of the event is They Can't Stop All of Us. Yes, they can. 100,000 teenagers will stroll into the meat grinder. Killing 100,000 of your own citizens might not be the most intelligent idea if you are a government. Strolling into one of the most secretive and overtly defended military bases in the world is not the most intelligent idea whoever you are. Nothing China style. More like nothing style. If even 10,000 people show up, the authorities will close the roads leading to Nellis AFB/Area 51 way out in the desert. For every person who is absolutely willing to jump a fence on the assumption that airmen will not shoot down a crowd, there are hundreds of people who are going to take one look at a dozen state troopers manning a roadblock more than a day's walk through the desert of where they want to be who will not give law enforcement a reason to arrest them. However big this thing might be, if 100 people actually make it inside the perimeter before they're arrested, I'd be surprised. The roads leading to Nellis AFB/Area 51. I don't think you're familiar with geography. Nellis AFB is in Las Vegas, less than 10 miles from the stratosphere on the north end of the strip. Groom Lake/Area 51 is 80 miles in the other direction. This would be like saying you're going to show up in Denver and take over both Buckley AFB, immediately east of Denver, and also Cheyenne Mountain, all the way down in Colorado Springs. If they do breach the fences and get close enough, they will probably use those high-pitched sound devices and tear gas. If that doesn't stop, they will probably start shooting. If they get even closer, they will only need to shoot like a handful before everyone scatters back. My bet is on the new microwave vehicles. They are incredibly effective and pretty safe. They basically send microwaves at targeted locations and makes you feel like you are being cooked. I mean you are being cooked, but they only penetrate like 3 to 4 inches or something, so pretty safe and very uncomfortable.